Hey, buddy! I actually have a solid thing to talk about this week. Yay! But before I start, I'm going to talk about what I'm drawing today. What you're seeing on screen right now is me drawing a prize for a contest that I hold. It is the 3-theme weekly contest. I will have a link in the description for the forum that it's hosted on. Please take a look if you're interested in designing fun characters every week, and perhaps even getting a prize and even having a speed paint drawing of your prize. It's been going on for 2 months now, and it's been so much fun. I really recommend checking it out. Everyone who has participated has done such a wonderful job every week, and I couldn't thank them enough for being so awesome. So anyway, the topic today is Jaden Unshaken. Yes, the Jaden Unshaken characters to be specific. I have written up summaries for the main 3 characters for Jaden Unshaken, and I will be reading them out for you here today. It was great fun writing this, so I hope you'll enjoy listening and getting to know the Jaden Unshaken characters better. The main 3 characters that I will be talking about today are Jaden, Em, and Amy. So let's get started. I will start off first, of course, with Jaden Merriam Justins. She's 17 years old at the beginning of the series. Her birthday is December 19th, and she's 5'5". She's half Asian. Her father was a US Army man stationed in Japan. He and Jaden's mother Mari got together while he was stationed there, and Mari ended up moving to America with him later on. They got married in America and had Jaden pretty early on, born in an American hospital. That's important. Anyway, when Jaden's father was sent to another region, he ended up being KIA, leaving Mari a widow with a child in a country she was very new to. Luckily, her brother and his wife came to America not long after she did, with their infant Manny. Soon came Flavia, Manny's younger sister, and Jaden's little cousin. The Kurosuma family, being Manny, Flavia, and their parents, ended up taking care of Jaden very often, as Mari had taken to pursuing something of an American dream. She started going to college for law, with the dream of becoming a successful lawyer. Jaden and Mari had little time spent bonding, as Mari was always either at school, doing schoolwork, or working her waitress job to make ends meet. Jaden grew up a pretty lonely child, though luckily she could spend a good amount of time with Manny and Flavia. It still wasn't enough, however, as the loneliness she had, yearning for a parent's attention, stuck with her into teenhood. It was in her early teenage years that she discovered she had the power to tell anyone to do anything she wanted. She eased into her powers, really not understanding them at first, but after a while she grew more and more attached to using her persuasion powers. Over time she ended up persuading the higher-ups to hire her mother as a lawyer, and later got her a seat in the Senate. She ended up accumulating more and more funds and material things through persuasion, as she grew up with so little and didn't know when to stop. She ended up becoming so rich and powerful that she was able to obtain a few mansions, choosing to live by herself in one with all her shiny new things. She persuaded her mother to live in a separate mansion a few cities away, as it had become too painful to live with her. At every turn, Jaden would find herself accidentally ordering her mother around, and the relationship she had with her became so hard to deal with that she didn't want to face her any longer. The relationship, as much as she wanted her mother's company all her life, ended up feeling too fake. Months later, after Jaden has been living alone in her mansion, gaining more and more things and becoming more and more lonely, the Jaden Unshaken series starts. Next up, Em. Emily Tabitha Erickwood. They're 18 years old, their birthday is May 22nd, and they are 5'10". Now before I start talking about their life, I do want to clarify their pronouns. I always use they, the general agender pronouns, but he and she can also apply to Em at any given moment, so I don't mind if you say he or she or they for Em. Like, I'm not going to correct you, because at any moment Em could feel like those pronouns apply, so that's why I never correct anyone, no matter what pronouns they use for Em, because they are gender fluid. So anyway, let's start talking about Em's life. Em is part Native American on their father's side. When they were young, their parents got divorced, and they stayed with their father. Em's relationship with their mother was always very strained, their mom finding Em's mannerisms and interests not to her liking. Em did see her periodically through their life after the divorce, but it was never a good time. When Em was 8, their father remarried to a much kinder lady. Despite her demeanor being much more pleasant than their birth mother, Em wasn't happy with the union. They were often not very welcoming to her. In Em's mind, even though their birth mother is a terrible person, they always wanted deep in their heart for her to finally accept them and treat them kindly. Not long after their stepmom was introduced to the family name, she became pregnant with M's younger brother, Zach. M was not happy with this either, and began feeling much like an outsider as their dad became so busy with their stepmom and the thought of a new baby. Sadly, when the baby came, M's stepmother did not make it through the birth. It was a sad time for both M and their father, M immediately regretting how they treated her. They vowed to always look out for their new little brother Zach, and as M and their family grew older, that's exactly what they did. However, it was not without hardship. While M's birth mother continued to pay child support, the Ericwoods were struggling to get by, Mr. Ericwood eventually working 2 jobs, and M always stuck at home taking care of their brother. Through this time, they picked up a few hobbies, which they mastered very quickly. It seemed anything they put their mind to learn, they were able to learn. They started cooking a lot for Zach, baking for fun, weightlifting, guitar playing, singing, gaming, gardening. The one thing they couldn't get themselves to learn, though, was how to control their anger. When M was in their mid to late teens, they started working a lot of jobs around town, but with the hobby of weightlifting they picked up, they were too strong and easy to anger. They would end up damaging store property accidentally, leading to every job they had to fire them. After their most recent job loss, Jaden Unshaken Episode 1 begins. And last but not least of the 3 main characters is Amy. Amy Nicole Pickett. She's 17 years old at the beginning of the series. Her birthday is June 13th, and she's 5'2". Amy grew up with entirely her biological family, being her father, mother, and 2 older brothers. While her parents stayed together, the 2 were not happy. Amy's father was an on-and-off alcoholic, while her mother tried her best to be a good stay-at-home mom. Her mother's efforts and family problems often ended up sending her mother into depressive states. Despite the difficulties with money and happiness, Amy's childhood was mostly good, save for the shouting matches she and her brothers sometimes had to deal with. She and her brothers were very close, all 3 of them finding solace in each other when things got rough. Growing up, Amy had the odd condition where she could not feel extreme temperatures. Nothing was investigated, but Amy noticeably never felt like she needed a coat in the winter and never felt like she needed to wear anything less in the summer. Fire and ice both intrigued her, and she'd often show off to her brothers just how long she could stand touching anything extremely hot or extremely cold. She was often scolded for this behavior, leading to her being very confused for the majority of her life. Temperatures did not hurt, so why was everyone so worried? A lot of the time, Amy could not even discern the difference between hot or a cold object. It was all the same to her. As she grew into a teen, she soon discovered that when she had extreme emotions, others around her became very uncomfortable with the temperature. Investigating her condition on her own, it didn't take her long to figure out how to start a fire with just her fingers. Everything was fine at first. She showed her oldest brother RJ, and while it was fascinating, he warned her not to do it anymore. Her interest in the situation did not die down though, and she started messing around with her fire in secret. Nothing was getting hurt, nothing bad was happening, and she could control it. It was all fine, she thought. One fateful day, however, she was too cocky as she played around with her fire in her bedroom. She managed to get the fire so hot that day. Of course, she didn't realize just how hot, as her body couldn't tell. Without warning, things in her room either started melting or becoming so hot they caught fire. Before she could realize her mistake, it was too late. Her entire room was in blazes that reached hotter temperatures than any simple house fire. She managed to escape the house, but as she looked up at it, her fear of punishment and her feelings of guilt grew so strong she felt she couldn't stay for the aftermath. She went back in, not being hurt by the flames of course, and retrieved any money and food she could find and fled. Before she left, she thought she saw all her family escape the house safely. On the run now, feeling like she couldn't return to her family for the great misfortune she caused, she has taken to petty thievery to get by. She cut all her hair off and bought new clothes so no one could recognize her. She's been on the run for a few weeks when Jaden Unshaken starts. So, those were all the characters and all their backstories, well, the main 3 anyway. I was thinking I could do this with the other characters in Jaden Unshaken, but you'll have to let me know how you feel about this video. I understand not everyone is going to be so interested in the backstories of my characters, so go ahead and tell me what you think in the comments. And yeah, they were that long and detailed because I've had these characters since I was like 12, and I've been working out these stories for, basically all my life. And this is true for the majority of the cast, so I guess just let me know how you feel about this one. Well, I think that's all I'm going to talk about this week. It was a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed listening. Please tell me about your main characters in the comments below. I would love to read them. Have a great day! Bye-bye!